Welcome, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to Getting Cozy with Coding. Hopefully, you had a great first session, and we're on to session two. And so I'm going to, we have Jonathan here, excited
I'm
on a Saturday
overexcited.
morning.
I'm overexcited. I love doing these things, and I'm happy that everyone's here. And we're teaching with coding, Zara, and we're just kind of getting into it. This is going to be for those who basics and just kind of understanding what to do. And if you need the presentation, there's not going to be much in there. Most of it's going to be just working with things, but you can go to bit.ly/cozy coding and go from there. But my name is Jonathan. I am a settler on Treaty 13, which is Milton, Ontario. And I'll let Zara introduce herself.
My name is Zara Jivraj. I am a settler on Treaty 13 in Richmond Hill, Ontario. And
it's great.
I'll pass it back over to you. Yeah, we're pretty close.
So Treaty 13 is pretty big too, as well. And
yes,
when you learn about the history of Treaty 13, it's quite interesting. But that brings us to starting off in a good way. And I always love talking about our land acknowledgements. And I know often we do land acknowledgements as a thing, but land acknowledgements are way more that to me. It's a recognition of the lands in which I am a settler on, which is the Michisagik Anishinaabeg, and the rightful caretakers of this land, and recognizing the sovereignty of the land with Indigenous and being a settler is important. Also recognizing the true calls to action, the Canadian Truth call to action and reconciliation. I think it's important as settlers and those occupying, being on Turtle Island, that we are part of that understanding and learning of how we can make this place a better place for all and how we can coexist and live together, as well as recognizing all the racial tensions and other things that have gone on from time immemorial. I teach my kids about land acknowledgements, about the land in which we walked on. We just came back from BC, and understanding how to take care of this land and where certain things and knowledge have come from, and understanding how knowledge has always been here, not just westernized occupation of it. So I really want you to take that time to reflect and to think upon where areas you are, understand the treaties in which you are part of, and learn from one another. So this is a Logix, lovely Getting Cozy. And so we're thanking Logix Academy for everything. You can go to the Logix Academy site, take a look at our socials as we go through things. Of course, this is also possible because of CanCode and the generous funding that we're getting through CanCode. And also all of the other programmings that we have here: Your Voice is Power, HackerGal, codingville.ca, First Canada, Digital Moments. But, we're really just going to get started in understanding what coding is. And as I said, this is about beginning. I know when I first started teaching, well, it's been a while now, 18 years of education, going back. I actually, this is a funny story, not about coding, but, I had a supply teacher come in, and she said to me, she goes, "Mr. So?" And I'm like, uh-oh. And it was someone I taught when she was in grade 4. And now she's 20 something. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting a little bit older here. But when I first started coding, I kind of didn't know what to do. It was kind of new. It was something that my daughter actually, when she was 5, been like, "Hey daddy, can we try this?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's go for it." So, I really wanted this presentation to kind of work with that and understanding, where do I go? What do I do? How do I get this going? So, what is coding? Basically, and this is what we're going to do a small activity in a minute, but basically it's procedural writing and sequencing of information. And you've been doing it forever, from kindergarten. And this is what I want you to think about. And I didn't have time to make some fancy little, to hide my answer. So my answer's there, but I would love for you just to take a minute and write down some instructions to get to your closest door from wherever you are. Think about what you're doing. Think about that instruction. Write down just some ideas about how you would get from your space where you are to the closest door. Zara, you probably thinking too, like, okay, where am I? How am I
I
situating
know.
myself? Right. Like, and like I said, and I'm going to talk over people. I know you're writing things down, but the idea is really to think about how would I get there? And I know when I do this with kindergartens, it's kind of funny because they're all like, they start moving, they start like thinking, and then they're like, okay, I know how to do this. I'm going to move forward. And and I'm like, okay, tell me how to get to the door. And they're like, okay, move forward. And I move forward and I like walk into a desk. They're like, I didn't mean move forward like that. I'm like, oh, okay, tell me some more. How would you move forward? And they're like, yeah, move forward. I'm like, and I walk back into the like desk again. They're like, well, I think you're supposed to turn. I'm like, okay. And I just turn a random direction. And they're like, no, turn right. I'm like, okay. And I had to think about which way right is, right? Or I fall off chairs, right? So that's why I wrote in mine, like, stand up, turn left, move forward. And how many spaces they had to move forward. And then, of course, me being 6 foot tall and the kindergarten being literally at my knees, we had to talk about, size of steps and, but this is coding, understanding how a logical sequence can move from one place to another place. And you don't need any fancy computers, you don't need any technology or robots. You can do this coding like just with words and writing tasks down. And the older you get, sometimes I make this from kindergarten is just oral descriptions to grade eights. I actually have them make secret maps, and they have to describe how to get to that secret spot in that room. And I put obstacles in the way, and they have to literally walk around those obstacles. So you can differentiate this small little task, but that's exactly what this does. And so,
Definitely.
right, like
Yeah.
it's a really cool thing. And I'm just gonna flip. Hang on 1 second. Sorry.
I remember while you're flipping, like I did that with my grade sixes and we did it throwing in angles when we were learning angles. And I'm like, if you're going to tell me to turn right, am I turning right 180 degrees, 90 degrees? Like, give me a degree.
Yeah, like it's fun to differentiate some of those things. And again, it's things that you don't really need a lot of, right? And so we're going to get into CS first. Oh, why is that not working? I'm going to stop that and try it again. It happened to my other one as well, my other presentation. And my screen wasn't sharing. It's weird. So this is from CS First, and there's a lot of really cool unplugged activities that you can go and work with. And so I wanted to throw those things in there. There's the working in the neighborhood, making some, you can encode an emoji using like little like pixel art. You can send a secret message to people, and all those activities are here for you to work with. I wanted to give you that kind of fun little things to do and see how that works, because ultimately that's what you're going to be doing in a lot of spaces. Okay, so now we're going to kind of get into that, like, hey Jonathan, that's fun, but we're supposed to be learning all these cool things. And I know for us in Ontario, we have an actual curriculum that defines coding and certain skills of what to do. And I know I was like, when I first learned, again, I literally did something and I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I would message my friend and be like, hey, did I do this right? And she would debug things or help me out. And then that's how I learned how to do things. And then again, CS First came out with this amazing, and I don't know if you've seen this, Sarah, but an amazing coding terms explained. And I love showing this because it allows teachers to be like, oh, is that what this means, right? So to read a code, we can read a code by making predictions, altering existing code. So actually learning what this means in our curriculum in Ontario, and I'm pretty sure other, like BC's Ontario curriculum is very similar. Alberta has a coding curriculum, and I believe the Maritimes also has a coding curriculum. But then it gets even more, like in grade 1, they have to learn how to sequence events, and you're like, well, what is sequencing? And so sequencing is a set of instructions that carry out one from another. And then if you click on this image, it will bring you to a Scratch program, which teaches you what that actually is. So this is sequencing. The bear is moving from one area to the other. And if I actually go inside, it even has little notes, like click on the green flag to start the sequence. The blue go-to blocks move the bear. So it teaches you how to do certain things, and you're like, oh, this is, where has this been my whole life, right? Especially, honestly, I was like, okay, I can handle sequencing, but then, like when we're getting into conditional statements, I was like, what the heck is that? And then I learned that it was like first this, then this. I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Or if else, I'm like, we've been doing those in language. If this happens, then this happens. So, they start to make sense, but, learning all these understanding of things like defined counting or what's a sub program, analysis of data, like it helped me understand what those could be and how they worked inside of any of our programs that we had. So it was just a cool way to kind of understand where things are going. And I skipped a whole bunch of stuff, but so I want us to get, now that we've talked a little bit about coding and we have a long time, I want us to actually start to say, hey, Jonathan, what do I use tomorrow? Or tomorrow's Sunday. I want to do Monday. I want to do something in my classroom right away. And so that's why I want to, again, you can use my deck, but it doesn't really do much. But CS First. So CS First is where's my first program that I Scratch was, but CS First was my first program that really locked things down for me and helped me to teach coding. And what I love about it is that, one, it's a learning management system. So it's enclosed in itself, especially I'm a vice principal in Peel. Privacy is huge in everything that we do. And this learning system allows me to have a very enclosed system that only my students have access to. They can't share it out to the world. They can only share it inside of me and my class. Depending on your board, you can use your Google or other accounts to log into, but it depends if it's logged in. But you can also create individual passwords for your kids and names that aren't names. Like you wouldn't be like Jonathan So. It would be C123. So no one would know who they are. So it was very important when we did those things that it helped with that. So to log in, you're going to go to csfirst.withgoogle.com/login and make sure, this is very important, you click on I'm a teacher. I can't stress that enough. I've had many teachers click as a student, and then you're going to have to either create a new account or you're going to have to talk to your department to figure out that you're a teacher and switch that over. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to my screen and I'm going to show you all. It did it again. That is funny. Love when mistakes happen on our live end of things. So there's that CS First. And again, you don't even need to log in right now. You can probably access all of this without logging in. The only thing is that you won't be able to do any of the management side of things or save your progress. But you can see the curriculum, you can see the hour of code. There's amazing resources that are aligned with specific curriculum expectations on each grade from grade 1 all the way to grade 8. There's even some grade 9 curriculum in there too, if you wanted to. But once you create a class, this is kind of what it looks like. Very similar to Google Classroom if you have those Google Classrooms. But you can create a class by clicking on the giant blue button. When you create a class, you can import from your Google Classrooms, or you can create one without using Google Classroom. You're going to name it, of course. And I have millions of tests in here. And then you can pull from your Google accounts, or you can use CS First accounts, which I always love doing. This CS First one is the one that will create those private names instead, or you can join a class that you would like to. And once you create that class, it would be part of your space. And I'm going to go back to my my classes just to show you kind of what those look like inside of things. So if I was inside of here, you can see the people that I have. So this is my student 1, student 2, and that you can see their work. So what they're working on, their projects. So if I went to the view projects, there's no projects because it's a test. But you can see the projects the kids are working on and the units that you've assigned to them. Now, to kind of work with that, that's pretty much the class itself, right? You can have as many as you want in there. If there's any questions, hopefully people know that you can put it in the chat. Zara will let me know. But the curriculum is where this is why I love CS First. So there are curriculum on every, that's a new one, debugging lessons. There's the 1 hour coding lessons. So this is where I go to first, and we're gonna try one of these lessons in a minute. Like my Google logo or design your name. And I always do design your name as my very first lesson in September. We're getting to know our students. I turn it into an identity type of thing where we have kids talk about who they are, not just like their interests, but who they are as a person. And so it's a really cool way of doing it. But there is more curriculum as far as getting like characterization. So we're talking about language now. We're intertwining our mathematics and our language, making an interactive presentation, dialogue. And again, dialogue, these programs can work from kindergarten all the way up to grade 8. I would even say grade 9 for some things. But it allows you to intertwine your other expectations into coding and teaching kids about things. So like narration, figurative language. And then there is other multi-lessons. So like storytelling, if you're a music teacher doing music and sound. There's more things around fashion and art. And then the more advanced ones are making a sports simulator or making a game design. So you can actually learn how to make like a Pong or like a video arcade. So when they get a little bit more advanced and it takes a little bit more time, you can do all these things. So we're gonna actually go into the hour of code. So you can either go here or you can click on the button that says hour of code. And again, you don't need to log in, just if you want to save it. And I want you to go to design your name. And this is where you can add it to your class. If you hit add to class, all your kids will see it. Or you can just view. And it'll teach you step by step what to do. There's an actual lesson that goes with it. There's materials. So there's the lesson plan. So if you PDF it, it'll actually give you a full lesson plan of how to break things down. And then we're going to go right into, and you're going to hit start. And this is why I love it. I don't have to learn or know anything about coding. I can just hit start and amazing videos pop up telling you what to do and how to do things. Can you hear that?
No.
No. I didn't know if I hit my sound or not. So, but it teaches you exactly what to do and how to, and then when you hit, I got this, you hit the next thing. Oh, I have to watch the full video.
What I do like about the videos is there is a transcript at the bottom.
Yeah.
So if you can't hear the sound, if there's an issue with the sound, or if you're hearing impaired, there is the transcript there to help with that, which I really like.
And then it gives you step-by-step lessons of what to do next. So the program is an example of what we're going to do. We're going to hit the green flag. This is what Maria or the person has done. We're going to try that out. So now we're going to go into our own Scratch programs. So it says, click on these underlined words to see the play instructions. So it tells me what, it can actually read it to me. So I know a lot of students who may struggle with that need that read to. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Now check out the hints. To click on that, we click on the light bulb. That'll give us like, hey, this is what you need to do. And so the kids will walk through every single one of these. So you're going to choose your name. My name is Jonathan. You can write any name you want. They've changed some of this up a little bit. This is really cool. So it's teaching you step by step. It's been a while since I've done these ones. What a sprite is, so you get to learn what that vocabulary is. Again, understanding what. Oh, click on the flashcard. A sprite is a character or an object in Scratch that you control with blocks. So this is our sprite down here, and we can change the costume, so we can change that sprite to do what we want to do. So we're going to click on the costumes tab to see the options to your sprite. And if I get stuck, it tells me what to click on with lovely little arrows. If I click on choose the costume, so now I can change different costumes. So I can make this of course, my internet's being a little slow right now.
Of course.
Of course, right? So I'm going to change this to J.
And I love this because it's like Scratch, but it's inside CS first. So you've got like all those classroom features, like you can see how students are going through their lessons.
I don't know why it didn't let me change my costume.
Oh.
I did
Did
get
you
it right.
choose another costume?
Yeah. Choose a costume button. Click on choose your costume button to open the costumes library. It's just being silly sometimes.
Yeah.
It's okay. But these are things that are going to happen in your class too. So, it might be just my internet.
What I do like is that when you're going through it, if you decide you want to skip one of the steps, it's like, nope, you can't go forward until you do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it won't let me do anything. Oh, there we go. Now it just took a minute to clog in.
Oh, okay.
So now it says click on choose a sprite, a button, and choose the letter to create your name, which we did. So now it's catching up to my 12 actions that I did. And I also love about it is that the kids can go ahead and do whatever they want to do, right? They're like, oh, I already know what I'm doing. So why aren't you allowing me to do this? So and of course, I love when it's being slow. I apologize, everyone, as we go through this, but hey, it slows things down.
I think it's generally slow because it's going slow for me too.
Okay.
Yeah, not just on your end.
It's okay. So what's great about it is that it allows you to play around with the with step by step. And again, if you don't know how to work through things, at least you and your you can teach kids how to do it. I'm going to actually move to a file and open up my projects and then show you what it looks like in the end. Because if it's being really, really slow, I can't handle it sometimes. So this is what my project is. So hi, my name is Jonathan. Jonathan, I'm a middle school vice principal. And then I was being creative and fancy, and I made ask a question so that I would know what to do. I made one of my H's flip around and do different things. And so you can pretty much do any of those activities just by once you click on a sprite, you're going to have different codes that go with each and every one of these sprites. So Jay has when clicked, I'm going to say my name is Jonathan. So that's in the look section. My name is Jonathan. The O has a little bit different. I wanted to change the costume or make it float around. Actually, you can't even see my O right now because it's floating around everywhere. Each of these sprites will have a different code that goes with it. And so sometimes students are like, Mr. So, my code's gone. Like say if I added another sprite. My code disappeared. I worked so hard, my code's gone. I'm like, no, it's because you're on a different sprite. So if you went to there, it's still there, and they're it's like drag and drop type of thing. So by going on to these programs, it allows you to teach the different lessons that are going on. And I wish it was working properly to follow along with, but it doesn't seem to want to do things. So I'm not having fun.
You know, CS First is in Saturday mode.
It does happen.
Yeah.
But the joys of it is that CS First allows you to work inside of Scratch. It's a drag and drop program. So, Zara, I have a question for you. If I was to make one of these things do something, what would you like it to do?
Well, I would say if it's possible to change the costume. So
Okay.
like maybe take because I know you have your H doing something, but maybe one of the ends could change costumes ever so often to a glowing end.
To a glowing N. Okay. So I'm on my new costume N. I did that by finding my sprite. And that was one thing that we worked through. So if you clicked on the sprite, you can find letters, you can find different things. I clicked on. Then I'm going to go to, there it is, looks, because looks is what changes the way it has. And I wanted to change color. So I'm going to drag this thing that says change color effect by 25. And I can change this percentage. I can change it by anything. And I'm also going to drag a button that says when it's clicked. These event buttons are important because your code won't work without the event button. And then so once I click on actually, I'm going to change it to space. So if I clicked on the space bar, that N now has changed colors. If I click again, it keeps changing colors. Now, I don't want to keep hitting my space bar. So I'm going to do that over and over and over again by hitting on my repeat button. So now if I hit spacebar, it went really fast. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I think I did. I'm like, I think we need a weight in there, maybe.
I was going to say it happens so fast. So I'm going to make that 0.5. And now, there we go. It's a little better.
There. Yeah. Now I wonder what would happen if you change that repeat to a forever.
So that's always a question that students will have as well. Like, how do I debug or how do I change? Right. So I can now change that. Now I don't have to hit the button ever again. It just keeps happening over and over again. So again, like I said, what I love about this program is that all the explanations are sitting inside of the CS First. If I went to another lesson plan like storytelling, all the lessons are sitting here that I can follow along with videos of how to do something. And so kids can just plug their earphones in and then get going with it, right? And so what this will allow you to do is basically have a lesson that goes along and teach you, and that teaches along with the curriculum that you want assigned, and the kids work at their level. These lessons take, I don't know, that first lesson, that name, like design your own name, that took about 40, 50 minutes, depending on the kids. You know, my grade 8s tend to do it in 30 minutes. My grade 3s and 2s probably took the whole hour, and some of them the next day. Some of the bigger lessons will take like a full week, depending on how it goes. So far, any questions that have popped up inside of?
Nope, nothing has popped up.
No problem.
I know one question that I've had in the past, and I'm also wondering, can students also continue this at home?
Yes, they can. So I'm not going to show you the student side because I don't have that access, but the same thing that once you're in your CS First area, the classes that are here, you can also see all your projects. And so like your students would see their classes, their archived classes and their projects. This is where all their projects are housed. So everything that they've been working on can be seen inside of here. And you can see that, I've done things like make your own pattern. I've done the Gumballs Adventure, which is the gaming one. storytelling. And so if I wanted to go back into it, I just click on it, and then that opens up my projects and I can continue to work on it. Is if you as a teacher, you're like, oh, I wanted to see, what Jonathan's been working on. And hey, your after school hours, do what you need to do, but you can go into the people, you can actually click on the student's name and in the view project, so you can see every project. They don't have any here, but they can see the project that they're working on, and you can click on it and actually open up their projects and leave notes inside of it, so you can always see where your kids are and what they're doing.
Okay.
So it's a really cool, like, especially for those of us who are like, I don't know what to do. I have a coding curriculum. I don't know where to get started. This is the best version of where you can get started on, and know that you're teaching a very comprehensive coding curriculum that helps students, and you as a teacher can just look at the curriculum and say, hey, this is what they've done. Check. I've been able to do it. Another one that I love is the Make Code. So this is Microsoft's side. So we have the Google side, and then we have Microsoft's. Very similar ideas to thing. Now, Google CS First uses Scratch, so it's block-based coding where they mix, match, and do what they need to do. The Microsoft side of things, if you were to go to the microbit, so start coding, you have the option, and we're going to go to, I like flashing heart. You have the option of block-based, Python, or Java. Now, Python is what I introduce my students with is like Python's like my top-notch, like expert level of working. I myself am not as comfortable with Python, whereas block and Java can be interchanged. Java is still the writing version of the block, but at least if you clicked on block, you can switch back and forth. So I tend to go to block because that's where I like to start. But I always have students who are like, but I already know this, right? It's a little boring. So why can't I do something else? So they go and use the block. They use the Java while I teach the block. So if I go on block, and you don't need to have a microbit with you. I know some teachers are like, but I don't own microbits. I'm like, this is great because it has a digital microbit sitting here. Like everything, Microsoft also has Immersive Reader built in, so it'll read it to you. And any students who struggle with that. And this is what we're doing. We're going to code the lights on the microbit, the flash, and a heart animation. So click on the basic category, and I'm like, oh, what's the basic category? If I click it, it actually opens up what I need to have. And drag this little button into the forever. Then show the LEDs on the squares to design heart, to draw a heart. So if I would draw a heart, my crude heart. Can you tell art was never my like forte?
They can all look different.
And then I hit next. So drag another show LED underneath. So I drag and click. You can even hear the click. Look at your microbit, see if you did a flashing. So if I went to play, there's the flashing heart on that side. I have now completed a flashing heart. But wait, if I want to download to the microbit, it even tells you to download. So if you had a microbit, you can physically put it into your computer and download it. But if you didn't, that's okay. And the beautiful thing about this program is that you're able to do block, or if I wanted to actually see what that JavaScript, this is how I actually learned how to write Java a little bit, was that I do everything in block, and then I'm able to do things inside of Java. So it actually flips back and forth. So the basic .forever function with my parentheses, and then here's the basic, what the LED looks like, and then how it goes back and forth.
Wow,
so that was
different.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Like you're like, how do I go from here to here? But at least you're able to understand what those dots mean, and then you can actually write that out if you wanted to. Another one that my students really love is the rock, paper, scissors. So there's tons of these tutorials that you can work through. There's different games like the rock, paper, scissors, the coin flip, hot potato. There's radio games, so microbits actually talk to one another. The watch is the step counter. You can actually create a step counter and have it physically built into it. But I'm going to do the rock, paper, scissors one. And again, I'm going to go to block. So all of them are block based or Python or Java, but I do like the block based to get us started, especially if you're a beginner. Again, it can be read to. So it says, first we need to make a variable to keep track of whether we have rock, paper, or scissors. A variable is a container of storing values. Where is that variable? So we need to make a variable. So make a variable button, give it a new name, hand. Okay. Click OK. Got that. Then it says, click on the variables category toolbox again. You'll notice that you have some new blocks. I do set hand and change hand. And then block into the shake block button. We'll start rock, paper, scissors. So it says, drag a set hand into there. So we're going to click on the math. Where is that? Okay, we're going to drag to pick a random number. And we're going to drag it in there. Now, you'll notice that when I started to get near it, a little line appeared. That's when I know I've connected. If I don't and I leave it, it actually grays out, meaning that it doesn't exist and it doesn't work. So if I put it in here, away I go. Now, when we shake a variable between 1 and 3, a hand should appear. So if I hit shake, hand will contain a number between 1 and 3. Now when I hit there, now it says click on the logic, and we're going to drag that if true, then else. Now this logic is that conditional statement that I never knew about on my life. So if true, then, oh, I want the else one. So I can drag it. If I made a mistake, I drag it back and away I go. There we go. So we're going to drag a 0 and replace the true. So you can see how these shapes as well fit inside of one another. And most block-based coding will be the exact same thing. So we're going to say if 1, then, oh, well, that's the next thing. Click on the variable button and drag hand.
I love that it's so step-by-step and shows you where to go.
Yeah. And again, as if I was new to this or I didn't know what I was doing, at least this allows me to be like, oh, I can follow along and I can make this work. So click on the basic category, drag this icon and underneath the hand, and we're going to click on the heart icon instead, select the small square to represent the rock. So let's see what that looks like. And if I get stuck, I can actually click on this icon and it'll show me what my code should look like. So I know I need to have this show icon. And I need this to be a rock. That looks like a rock. Yeah.
I was going to ask, if you hover over them, does it tell you which one is which? Probably not.
No, you can undo this all and click on the things that are happening. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next one. If else, so at the bottom, if else, we're going to click on this plus sign, and we're going to have another logic code. Can you guess what I'm going to put here? There?
I'm going to say if paper.
In the true button, what do you think I'm going to need to have?
I would think we're going to have to put in that the same block that you have up with the hand, but I think we're going to have to change that.
Yeah, so I don't like ever finding it again, so I right click and I can hit duplicate.
I do the same thing.
And then I just duplicate. And then we're going to change that to scissors. And then if else.
And then, yeah.
So basically what we just did.
But don't we have to change that hand to scissors?
No, because I just made a variable that says hand, my hand.
Oh,
So
okay.
hand's going to pick a random number between 1 and 3. So if it's 1, it's rock. If it's 2, it's, well, I made it a
Yes.
bigger paper. I made it scissors. And then the last one, I've just done this so many times. I'm going to make this paper. Because I don't need to have another option, right? Because here's the first variable, here's the second variable. If it's not those two, then it has to be this.
Yeah.
Right? So now if I hit shake, there's paper, there's rock again, there's scissors. And so this becomes a really cool, you can actually have it as a probability, like, oh, how many times? Let's tally, right? And we can talk about theoretical probability versus other probabilities or gaming probabilities. And again, you don't need to have a microbit. It's all built inside of here. If you do have microbits, it's even funnier because the kids literally walk around now and they're like, and they shake it and they're like, if it gets too quick, you can also put in a wait time if you wanted to add into those, but that's, and if you have a newer microbit, you can actually add music to it because they have speakers.
Oh.
But there you have made a rock, paper, scissors activity. And again, there's tons of different ones that are in here. Even attaching it later on to timing gates for physics, soil moisture. You can get way more advanced as far as, and that's just the microbit side of things. If you went back to the make code one, there's also like arcade games that you can play with. And there's also different Minecraft ones that you can work with as well. So it depends on your students and what they're interested in. I like the arcade one because you can try, like you can actually make different games and it walks you through the different aspects of like making a whack-a-mole game. How do I actually do that? There's another one that's like Save the Dinos, which is creating this dinosaur game that you have to evade, like the old arcade style games. You can make Pong. So this one, the make code allows you to at least advance to the from block base into Python and gives a little bit more work through things. Whereas the Scratch tends to be a bit more of a beginner thing where it's only block, but at least Scratch, the CS first sits inside of its own domain. This one does make sure that you sign in, has an account, it can be shared out. You have to have you can have a Microsoft account or a Google account, but it is tagged to a particular profile and name through things.
I do like that because it's Microsoft, it also has that immersive reader in there for the students that might, struggle to read and understand the instructions. They can get it read to them.
Yeah, immersive reader is amazing. So sorry, it won't let me continue with this one bit until I sign in. But it allows you at least to create the various things that you want to create. Why won't, there we go. Yeah, I'm just gonna start. So again, Java's here, Python, or using block code. My internet is not cooperating with me today. It doesn't like me. I'm sorry, everyone. But you can easily work through a lot of these cool ones. The other one is the Microsoft or the Minecraft one. So for students who like to explore some of the projects inside of Minecraft education, you can do any of the professional learning that's in here, as well as learn how to code and explore different solutions inside of Minecraft. And then I know there's Dan did a whole other session on Minecraft and coding. So feel free to go right into that ideas through that. Does that make code? So I know we're a little early on time, but I didn't know if anyone had any questions or if you wanted to try one more session or one more thing. There's only one participant.
Yeah. We've had quite a few in between.
Oh, that's good. Maybe we can try one more CS first before we. Is there a CS first one that you absolutely adore or love?
There was one. Now, of course, now it's not coming to me. Let me just go back and see. I think I've done the narration.
Yeah, that's a fun one. So
Yeah, the kids
narration is
really
teaching,
enjoyed that.
yeah, teaching kids how to tell a story, and again, learning about sequence of events. So again, like every CS first, it starts with what is this all about? You're going to hit your next button, and you're going to hit the starter project. So it gives you a little starter project to kind of figure out where things are, and all the sprites or anything that you need inside of it sits inside. And now for some of them, you do have to go back and forth. So like the hour of code is built inside. This one here is inside of, you have to go between two screens. So we're going to start a conversation. And so then you can play the button, which you can't hear me right now. I tend to scroll all the way to the end because it gives me the instructions. This is my ADHD that says, hey, what do I do? So I need to add a new sprite. I need to flip your sprites to face each other. So I'm going to go back to here. My sprite is sitting inside of here. So I'm going to find a sprite that I like. Let's find two different animals. I like this dinosaur and I like this crab. And right now they're not talking to each other. They're actually walking away from each other. So I need to flip between them. So if I go here, I can actually sit and change the direction in which they go. So, oh, that's the other way, sorry. Let's see, let's go back here. Oh, it says optional. Okay. I thought I could. Oh, I know what. I have to go into the costume. Sorry. I'm like, why am I not? There we go. And now it should flip back to, there he is. Now they're talking to each other. Okay. So then it says this next thing to do is if you're telling a story, first person add, say this for how many seconds, the third person add. So we're going to have a conversation back and forth. So it's in the funny part about this, when they say things, it's in the look section. So I can say hello for 2 seconds, and then I'm gonna go. I know you would think that
being looks.
You think that it's in sound because you're saying something, but sound is like the physical sound that comes out. Now I need to switch back to this one, and I'm gonna hit and looks, but I'm gonna have a wait block in here for 2 seconds because my first character said hello 2 seconds ago. So if I hit hello, and so now they've had a dialogue back and forth, and so you can see how you can actually continue to have that dialogue all the way through, but you have to make sure that you put in those wait blocks and time, or they kind of talk over each other.
Yeah.
You can have your characters move, you can have different sound effects, and you can even animate your character to do different things. So to animate your character, again, you can watch the video, or I tend to go to the end, and then I'm able to change the things that are happening. So it says, let's change this crab. So I'm going to switch costumes. I'm going to have a repeat. And I'm going to have it going between A and B. And I'm going to make sure I put a wait in between, or it's going to go like really crazy fast. So now if I hit play again, hello, hello. And now I don't know if you can see it. His
little claws are
opening off and on. So you can have them do different things, have this lovely conversation, but it teaches, again, like kids talk, how do I move from one place to the other place? And at the same time, teaching them sequencing as well as loops. You can have even a conditional statement by having the crab walk towards the dinosaur, and as the dinosaur walks to it, he says "ow" and then screams or runs away. And so you can make it evolve into more things as the kids get older and older and older. But the basic premise is coding is not like anything to be afraid of. I know sometimes we get scared at the programs that are happening, but at least it allows you to access the information and go from there. So I was hoping, I always tend to leave time for questions at the end, but I know that we don't have any. Can you think
Oh,
of
I could ask a question. I can think of a
say,
question.
you've done enough of these workshops with people and coding. What is their like number one question that you get a lot of?
So I know for CS first, this is the number one question that I've seen, and I don't know if there is a fix for it or not, but can you record audio in CS first?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So what you have to do is in sound, you're going to hit this play sound button. And then when I'm in the sound section, if you go down to this choose sound, you're gonna have to download a sound. So first you're gonna have to record on your computer any sounds that happen. So if I was to look up some music, probably have some music here. Put me in a spot I don't actually have anything downloaded, but you can record music.
I can see it.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say I don't have any. I actually don't have any. But if you upload a sound to oh, I do have music. There we go. There's the Trolls dance. So now I have the Trolls music inside of Scratch. So that when I'm back in my code, instead of pop, they're gonna play Move Your Feet.
Oh,
And so
okay.
actually that might actually work pretty well.
I think that'll go with their
You won't hear because I don't have sound working on my
okay.
On the present. Actually, maybe if I switch, let's stop screen here. Let's share screen. Yeah, entire tab. Oh, I don't have it on my. That's why, because I'm not sharing inside of this tab.
Okay. But no, that shows that it is like, I know last year or a year before that wasn't available.
Sorry, I had too many things in my ears at once.
Too many sounds going.
Too many sounds going, but yeah. So if you played, but that's how you move sound. So what you have to do is inside of here, make sure that you have sound downloaded onto your computer, and then you can play with those things. And you can even crop and make it certain sections louder, and move and animate through that.
I think that's a great option. Like if you want to add dialogue with your own voice, or students could even be having a conversation. Like the uses, like I'm thinking, oh, we could do like an interview and code it in and tie it into coding, like so many ways.
Yeah, and I look at it and I also see like another one that we can do is you know, I know in grade 6 we talk about immigration, and you interview people, you can code, you can even add your own picture too, right? So like in your sprite here, if I was to download a picture of myself, I'm just going to pick, it's not a picture of myself, it's a picture of BC that's sideways. You can actually import your own picture. And so you can put yourself as a picture. And if I wanted to change the costume in it, I could say, I only want a small section of this, so I can erase and make it very crude.
So many different ways to make it your own.
So many. And then if I shrunk the size to like 50, now that's a little bit more reasonable to the person, but you can have your own face to it, and then that way they can code themselves talking to someone else in that picture. So it's a really interesting way to bring their own voice and their own identity into things. And you know, when I talked about the name, the design your own name, that's another one that worked out really well. But again, all I did was all of these are very similar. If I go to sounds, I can click on sound, and there's that choose sound, there's the surprise me, and there's the upload. If I go to choose sprite, there's that choose your own sprite. There's the paint, which is change, like make your own, surprise me or upload a picture. Background's the exact same way. You can upload your own background to things. You can change things around. And then when I'm in the code, there's all the different codes that kind of work through things. So, you know, that's always a question. And I tend to, that's one that I always get. Another one that I always tend to get is like, you know, where do I start? How do I begin? You know, just get right into the curriculum, think about those expectations, have kids explore. You don't need to be an expert at coding.
No.
Your kids are experts. And I also what I love about it is that it really gets kids to be the masters of their learning. And you as a teacher to kind of be like, okay with that. And then they take over and they help each other. Oddly enough, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Zara, as you did more coding with your kids, I found them to be better inferencers in reading the more that they learned how to code. I have no proof. I have no scientific research that goes along with it other than, you know, years of doing it. But I think it's because they learn how to debug and sequence and see connections between how things flow from one end to the other end. And then they're able to see storylines and plots a lot better because they can see the sequencing that's happening inside of code. That's my theory on it. Maybe one day when I'm retired and I do my PhD, that would be something that I would work towards, but it's always a fun way to do it. So I know with 4 minutes left, thank you so much for being here. There's if you want to follow along, please, you know, it's a nice pause and play. You can go back. Logic is always here as well, and the events at logicsacademy.com for support. And you can always fill out the Logic feedback. Zara, I don't know, is there anything else you would like to add or talk about?
No, I think you got it all. You know what? I did want to comment when you said that, you know, it's all there, so you don't really have to know a lot. And I find that I'm at that point where I sometimes pretend that I don't know.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's just so much easier to say, but just give me the answer. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. I can't give you the answer. You're going to have to explore. And then they're able to do it. It's just, you know, that builds that just, you know, a little bit of independence.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's great. And I also often make mistakes. And then I tell kids to just, you know, figure it out. Like, what did I do wrong? And they're like, oh, you did this. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
So it helps them out. But thank you, everyone, for being here on a Saturday.
Please do fill out our feedback form. I did put the link in the chat in there. Thank you so much, Jonathan. This was great. And there is the support email for Logix Academy as well. And I'll put the website and socials in there as well, just so we have that.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference and see where it all goes.
Yes, hopefully you get like a really quick drink break, and then our third session is coming up. Thank you.
Take care.